Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here, your commentator, alongside me, TK, who is going to be rounding off the season quickly. Down the inside, absolutely possible scene. This is for the win between these two.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
He needs to get it done now.
Blakey will dive to the inside.
We were robust. We got our elbows out.
Ronnar takes the lead.
Because here comes Alfie Butcher.
Can't really complain with that one.
It's not going to be easy. The pressure is on, of course.
Jarno Watmere is your champion.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome back for the final time in Season 41 to some Monday Evening Madness here at Premier Sim Gaming Leagues. This is, of course, the season finale of Season 41, and, well, we thought we were going to have a title decider. As it turns out, we don't have a title decider. We are missing Tony Richet. He's gone missing in action, decided to sack it off. Logan, you can see, is absolutely apoplectic with rage and disappointment. What it does mean, though, and this is a positive, we can officially say Volokongen is the champion of Season 41. We'd have liked it to have been in a slightly more dynamic fashion. Maybe if he won last week in Brazil. Epic finish if you missed it. Started raining with 2.5 laps to go. That was quite the titanic tussle between Otzazito and Volokongen. Volokongen in the end finished second, which meant that if Tony Richet was here, Volokongen would have needed 7th place to guarantee the title. As it is, he is the champion of Season 41. And in my money, even though he hasn't won a race, he is a very, very well-deserving champion after Alex Lofer, of course, jumped ship after 4 races. Virtual commentary box for this evening's action at the Yas Marina Circuit in Abu Dhabi. It is myself, Tom Wilkinson, and Ataku Logan. How are you doing, Logan? How's your weekend been?
It's all right, yeah. I was actually away in England.
Ooh, came down to my neck of the woods, I see.
Yeah, it wasn't for F1, though, obviously. There's nothing on there.
It is not. Apart from testing in Spain, of course, which has sort of
That's
started,
not in the
even
UK.
though nobody's able to see it, of course, apart from
Yeah,
some leaks.
I heard a story that, what's his name? There are people actually getting apprehended by security because of, they're very secretive.
Yes.
I mean,
Didn't want
it could have
anyone
been
in there.
worse, much worse. Oh, God.
Wanted absolutely no part in it. Did the media, and F1 didn't want anyone to get involved. What we will do, though, we've got the admin, of course, to go through. Let's have a look at the drivers' standings, and we will be able to see that it is Volokongen who has taken this championship. Well deserved. He has attended every single race. We'll get on to attendance in just a few moments' time. Tony Richet had an opportunity to still win it this evening, decided he didn't want to be taking part, and could get usurped as the vice champion. Otzazito now just 5 points back after he took his second win of the season last week in Brazil. Brilliant drive from the second Ferrari drive to move up to 55 points ahead of the 2 V-Cub drivers. So a decent result for Otzazito. If he gets himself inside the top 5, that will be technically second place in the championship, depending on how we place Alex Lofer in this one. For Volokongen, he'll be looking to win for the first time this season. If he doesn't take the title, and this is an interesting little stat, he'll become the first driver in PSGL PSF1 history to win the championship, but not to get a race victory in their championship winning campaign. Come close on a number of occasions. Last week missed it by a quarter of a second, finishing second to Otzazito. Very close in Silverstone as well, behind the eventual winner, Tony Richet. That could have been a pivotal battle if Tony Richet was here this evening. If we look further down, the 2 V-Cubs just behind Otzazito, Dylan Hogland, who's left. He was only here for 5 of the 10 races we've had, but did pick up a brilliant win in Saudi Arabia a couple of weeks ago. Nico's been a little bit up and down, but has returned to the points in the last couple of weeks with a second in Saudi and then 10th place in Brazil last week. If we head over and look at the constructor standings as well, it's a 3-horse race, but realistically, the prancing horse is the horse you want to be backing. Ferrari 14 points clear at the summit. Otzazito winning despite the absence of Tony Richet last week and this week. They've pretty much got it. Game, set and match going to Italy. Alpine were the runaway leaders early on with Alex Lofer's mesmeric golden run to start off the season with 3 wins and a second. But as he jumped ship in the subsequent, that's the right word, 6 races, just 3 points finishes out of 12. Not particularly good there. V-Cub just a couple of points back, with Dirk and Max von der Geest both going to be present this evening. It's a bit of a damp squid to end it, especially that And Osazito, we have to say, drove absolutely brilliantly last week, not taking anything away from him. But it would have been quite cool, wouldn't it, if we did see Volokongen take the championship a week ago. Because, well, would have been nice, I think. We wouldn't have had such a disappointing ending to proceedings tonight. We've obviously got the usual glitz and glam to go through in Yas Marina, but it is only 13 drives, and that's where we have to have a bit of a conversation here. Slightly disappointing. The attendance in the last couple of seasons in PSGL PSF1 has been pretty shocking, let's say. I mean, I don't think we've had maybe even a quarter of the races this season where we had a full grid. That is disappointing. Obviously, we know the state of F1 25 and league racing can be quite difficult, but the resilience of some people has been called into question, I think it's fair to say. If you're not going to commit to something that you sign up to in the first place, then why bother doing that? Moan out of the way, because we're going to have a fun one tonight, even though we just got the 13 drivers. Welcome into everybody. Hello, Volokongen. I believe that is Oscar, last season champion. If it is, first of all, I hope you're doing well. Second of all, your teammate from last season has gone and done it. And it is the two McLaren drivers from last season, Oscar and Volokongen, now draped in silver. Volokongen picking up his first championship in PSGL PS1, and a very worthy winner. We'll give him a round of applause, of course. Let's have a look at where we are racing this evening, though. The Yas Marina circuit, still plenty to play for, and all unfolding around a track that has taken quite a lot of strides in recent years. It's fair to say. You'll all remember back to pre-2021, and in my opinion, the circuit was absolutely horrible, but we've ripped out the horrible chicanes in Sector 1 and Sector 3, and it's become infinitely more tolerable and, crucially, properly raceable as well. Lap 1, we've seen time and time again, can be very chaotic. The width of the circuit, inviting drivers to fan out 2, 3, sometimes even 4 wide in the opening salvos. Opportunities plentiful as well. Lunging down the inside of turn 5, you can see they're dancing through the switchback chicane of 6 and 7, or charging around the long radius, high speed left-hander of turn 9. Final sector as well, very technical, very tricky. Medium speed corners, low grip, very little margin for error. That's where the confidence on the knife edge of grip will very much be tested. Not too many overtaking opportunities, but it can set you up nicely. And if you don't treat your tyres with the respect, they're going to overheat if you're a little bit greedy on the throttle. Get it right, you're rewarded. Get it wrong, and like I said, those tyres will start screaming for a little bit of mercy. Just a few minutes away from getting underway. And if you want to try and, well, learn maybe how to extract a little bit more performance around the Yas Marina circuit, or indeed any circuits on the F1 game, or head over to the title sponsor linked in the description of this stream, Sim Racing Setups. Get your hands on the F1 25 Pro setups. They're created and developed by the drivers you see week in, week out here at PSGL. Esports and stable setups for every circuit available. Qualifying and race bred setups, dry weather or wet weather, they've got you absolutely covered, with some race strategies, optimal race strategies, and the free meta setup updates thrown in there as well. If we do get any tweaks to the handling model, all setups available for £49.99. If you do $49.99 divided by 27 circuits on this game, that's pretty darn decent value. SimRacingSetup.com is the link. It is in the description of this stream, and use the code PSGL for a 5% discount. Best in the business, I think it is fair to say. Not too far away from getting underway. I don't have Logan alongside me. It's just a complete black box to my right as you're looking, to my left as it would be on screen. Hopefully, Logan will be returning very, very shortly. I think we are getting quite close to getting underway. Like I said, only 13 drivers, which is disappointing, but we've got 13 drivers who are committed to the PSGL PSF1 bit and are here week in, week out. That's why, in my opinion, Volokongen, a very worthy champion, been here every single week, still on the podium 4 times in 10 races, been as solid as a rock, consistent, scored in every single race, scored points in every single race a couple of seasons ago, actually. In I think it was season 39, finished in the points every single outing. Last season, missed it a couple of times, back in the points every single week, though, for Volokongen this time around. Just good to see. Like to see consistency rewarded with some very nice point-scoring finishes, and a championship come the end of it as well. We have had drivers win the championship with just one race win. The most recent one was season 35, if you can remember back. That was on F1 23 with F7R Aurelian. Nobody, like I said before, has ever won it with just with no victories across their entire championship winning campaign. So Volokongen could be the first to do that, or he could steal a march on his drivers, on his rivals here in Abu Dhabi, and turn what has been a successful season with those 3 second places and trade them for a win under the lights of Yas Marina tonight. Hope everybody's had a lovely weekend. Obviously, we've got F1 back with the testing in Spain that nobody can really see, and 50% of the teams haven't really turned up to. No McLaren, no Ferrari, no Aston Martin, no Williams, because that car is a little bit hefty, if the rumours are to be believed, and Cadillac didn't do too much good running either. Neither did Audi, because I think Gabriel Bortoleto did stop on circuit. For people who are here, feel free, throw your predictions in. Who do you think is going to be champion in 2026?
I am.
Oh, Logan's back. What an absolutely delightful...
Sorry, I had to finish some unfinished business. Don't worry, good unfinished business.
Good unfinished business. I've just been chatting away, basically. Chatting away, spoke a bit about the testing we've seen. Who is going to be champion in 2026, Logan? While we wait for people to load up, who's it going to be?
Going to be the driver who scores the most points, obviously.
Thank you for the Will Buxton answer. Thank you for sitting on the fence and getting splinters with that one. I'm going to say, I mean, it's quite obvious for me. I think it's going to be George Russell, because the Mercedes is going to be miles quicker. McLaren, as much as I'd like McLaren to be good, Antonelli's not a bad shout. As much as I'd like McLaren to be good, I think there are issues with McLaren. That's why they're missing today. They might be missing tomorrow in testing as well. Ferrari clearly has some issues as well.
McLaren? Oh dear. Williams,
yeah. That car, as I said, is a little bit hefty, I think is the best way to summarise it. But I'm delighted to say that we are loading into the race. If you are new to PSGL, first of all, short qualifying session. 18 minutes on the clock for our 13 drivers tonight to tackle. No reset in between, so all the soft compound tyres they use, they will have to keep in their arsenal. And then it is a 50% race, which I believe will be 100%. 29 laps, I think, is the magic number here in Abu Dhabi, as we wait to see who is the first driver to emerge on the circuit. Only 13, so not too many options to choose from. Newly crowned champion, of course, Volokongan in there, has absolutely no pressure on him this race, apart from trying to get that win to make sure he isn't the first PSGL champion that doesn't win a race throughout the season. I don't think that's ever happened in real life either. I remember... Was it Keke Rosberg who only won one race? I think he didn't even start on pole position at once.
Yeah, Keke Rosberg. He only won once that season. Just a second, I forgot my glasses.
The glasses gang. It is Phil, as it usually is in qualifying. If there's one thing we can be sure about, it's Phil being the first out of the garage in qualifying and destroying the brake marker boards as well, as polystyrene bits go flying all over the place. Does he take out the DRS board as well? You bet your bottom dollar he takes out the DRS board as well. I think it's his teammate just behind joining him on 6. So it's the two green machines, the Aston Martins, that are the first to emerge. And then I believe it is Finlay in the Mercedes. Phil taking out all of the brake marker boards. Remember, nobody uses assists in this division, so no racing lines, so they're going to have to try and memorise where those braking markers were being the critical term as well. And I think this is just going to be about fun. No championship on the line. We've got one Alpine, we've got one Ferrari. Jordan basically has to win the race and hope that Otsuzito fails to score, which is unlikely considering the pace and the consistency that Otsuzito has shown in the second half of this season. So we're just going to have some fun, Logan, aren't we?
Yeah, we're going to have some fun. 16 minutes to go. Of course, drivers making their way out through their first lap on track here at the $1 billion Abu Dhabi circuit. That's Yas Marina circuit. That's how much it cost to build this track back in 2009. I believe the Grand Prix was announced in 2007. I believe the Ferrari boys, Kimi Räikkönen and Felipe Massa, were there to promote it.
With Ferrari World, of course, in the close vicinity. Phil out on their first fly lap of the session, keeping it tight through 1, 2 and 3. 16 corners, 9 to the left, 7 to the right. We're using all of the curb on the entry into turn number 5 to try and get the car as straight as possible, to rotate it through the second or third gear corner, depending on what you fancy in there. Taking the shortest possible line all the way over on the right-hand side. So we're going to have to jolt left ever so slightly to make sure we don't clip the arm coat that sticks out, braking on the curve down into the 6M chicane, slightly deep into the first part, but does manage to slam the anchors on and get it rotated. I'm not even going to mention it, Logan. I did not say those two numbers. Keeping it all the way over to the left-hand side this time as we power through what is obviously flat out turn 8 and into turn 9, reprofile back in 2021. Back end just stepping out ever so slightly on the entry, but it does give Phil a decent amount of rotation to get the car through. Now we approach the very technical final sector into turn 12, 13 and subsequently 14. The rear really wants to step out. Not a lot of grip in these sequences of corners, and very technical as well. Got to make sure you don't exceed track limits either, because like we said in the intro, you are dancing on the knife edge of grip. Just the final corners to go. 16 can be quite clumsy at times, and Phil not troubling the apex at all, but then he goes back into the right spot and he cuts the beam to set the benchmark at a 121.7 as his teammate Zwade will cut the beam and go a couple of tenths slower.
So the time's starting to flood in now. Should be seeing Max van der Gie starting his lap. Also starting his lap will be Finlay in the Mercedes. The Black Arrows, if I've called them since 2020, well, except 2022. I don't know what's just crossed the screen. Was that a bottle?
I
How does
might
that
have been
even
a
get simulated
bollard
in the game?
Maybe like
Or maybe
what
the
happened with
bollard,
Hamilton
yeah.
at the end of 24, where he got it stuck under his car. Finlay goes fast, as you can see, on the 21.4. Otsazito, last week's winner out there, trying to propel the Scarlet Ferrari squadron to a Constructors' Championship win. They've got 14 points in their back pocket over Alpine, both of them fielding just the one driver tonight. Otsazito was very competitive in Spain, first win of the season, backed it up strongly in Brazil 1 week ago. Now rounding the final corner, Polymaki second ahead of Phil, Lars Kramer's Wade and Jordan up to the line. Otsazito does lower the benchmark by nearly a tenth of a second, 21.3. But now we jump off board with the newly crowned champion of season 41. Volokongen wide through the final corner though. Does a 21.6. Would have put him into P3 just behind his teammate, but that invalidation leaves him with it all to do as Nico now jumps up into second.
So again, just 13 drivers tonight, and unfortunately, I have to say this is actually quite expected. Usually near the end of the season, you will get a smaller turnout because drivers start to lose interest because they either can't win the Drivers' Championship or the burnout, etc. Various amounts of reasons why people have missed tonight, but there's nothing we can do about that. All we're doing is our jobs, and that's bringing you commentary of this final race of season 41.
So, 10 times I should say, on the board, although Dirks isn't particularly representative on a 22.9. You can see the drivers there trying to avoid the bumps, keeping all the way over to the right-hand side. This is Gavros in the white ball, the white Red Bull that he's driving from Suzuka of 2025. Little bit of over-rotation once and twice on the exit of turn number 7, which is going to hamper his run all the way through 8 and up into that fast left-hander of turn 9. Francesco Lago, I think, has jumped in the chat. Where is Podium? I'm guessing that is Tony Richet. Well, he decided that he didn't want to turn up tonight, even though the championship was still well and truly on. Volokongen taking it as a result. But Volokongen's first qualifying lap as the champion didn't go particularly well with that invalidation. Gavros still negotiating turns 12, 13, 14 and up towards 15. This is flat out. This was reprofiled as well, made a lot wider so you could carry so much more speed through the apex of 15. Now into turn number 16. Bit of a bump and run, bit of a slide as well as the back end steps out. And we cross the line to go P5 with a 21.6. But a little bit of a clumsy final sector means there's definitely still some time in the back pocket of Gavros. Welcome in everybody that's joining us for qualifying at Meyerfoot home track. Well, I hope you enjoyed the Yas Marina circuit. I can say it has got exponentially better since we saw those changes in 2021.
Yeah, but I don't think there's been much active racing. Don't mention the finale of the first time it was around because, that's a story for another day. Leon and Volokongen, the only drivers yet to set a clean lap. They're going to have to go again, without a doubt. Three drivers within 1/10, well, two drivers, I should say, within 1/10 of the man at top, Otsazito, in the best livery of 2025, the Ferrari Monza livery. I mean, you could say the white bill's great as well, but it's very Japanese and all. But let's be fair, Ferrari being Ferrari. The livery is much better than last year's, I'd say. Much more white. So it matches with like the colours because of the race suit, because I think they used a lot of yellow on that instead of white.
I actually prefer the Ferraris when it's red and the secondary colour is predominantly black. I think that's a really nice combo. So we'll have to agree to disagree as Leon there invalidates. That's a little bit clumsy. Trying to keep it as tight over to the left-hand side as he possibly can do, but just goes over the white lines. And second time is not as good as the first as he invalidates once again. My foot, your mum attended the inaugural event in 2009. That is very, very cool. That race, of course, won by Sebastian Vettel, I think it was. Red Bull 1-2 with the champion of 09, Jenson Button, coming home in P3. Last race, of course, for Brawn in Formula 1. Barrichello P4. They turned into Mercedes into 2010. Whatever happened to that team?
Yeah, they did alright, I guess. But yeah, Braun only lasted one season. It was a last-minute entry into season 2009 because Honda went bust. And we thought there was only going to be 9 teams on the grid in 2009, but no, it was 10, and it was the one that won it, which is crazy. Is there going to be a similar thing happening when Audi and Cadillac join this year? Because technically they were a completely different entity when they entered, even though Braun ran the... Well, actually, he didn't run the Braun. They ran from the Brackley, the Honda station in the Honda headquarters in Brackley. But of course, now that is sort of home to Mercedes, who bought the place. Just like now that I think was the Jaguar team in Milton Keynes, and then of course they became Red Bull.
The lineage of F1 teams is so funny, isn't it? Osazito finds a quarter of a 10th into the first sector, a little bit wide there through 5, bit of a lock-up as well as he struggles to get the car slowed down. Provisional pole sitter looking to lower the benchmark even further. Admires mum met Fernando Alonso and Felipe Massa as well. That is very cool. Massa, of course, would have just been on the mend after that horrible crash in Hungary because he was the flag bearer, wasn't he? In Brazil. I'm not sure if he did it in Abu Dhabi as well. Alonso, of course, driving for Renault, and the two of them would end up being teammates in a couple of months' time at Ferrari in 2010.
Yeah, and that worked out well. And apparently Felipe Massa is going to try and get some extra dosh, according to a certain former event in Formula 1. Not trying to get back his title he lost, obviously. He can't get that back, can't change it, unfortunately.
Botsazito wide there through 14. Sorry to jump in there through 13. Sorry, invalidates the lap time. Was up by half a tenth, so isn't going to find any improvement. We wait to see what the runners and riders can do behind. Mats van der Geest has just started a lap. Finlay is up by nearly 0.2 for second. Finlay's been a little bit all over the place this season. The peaks for Finlay have been extremely high. The troughs have been not particularly comfortable to watch. Round in the final corner we go with the champion's teammate Phil up into P4, 21.4. But that is the fastest time of the session by comfortably over a 1/10 of a second for Finlay. The Mercs currently bookending the timing charts, but we wait to see what the newly crowned champion can manage. Dirk up into P5, 21.5. Two RBs currently holding 5th and 6th. Make that 6th and 7th with Polymaki for Haas going into P5. What can the championship leader do over the line? Only P6 there for Volokong, and first real lap time of the session, 21.5. Gets himself ahead of Dirk and Max van der Geest.
Oh, yeah. What was I going to say again? Sorry if I'm sounding a bit bored tonight. We are quite tired after the entire season. Oh no, we've lost Lars Kramer. I'll get him. But yeah, it's been a long season. It's been pretty tough on us. And of course, the championship is over, so there isn't really much to hype about, admittedly. We would have loved to have it, but unfortunately, it's just not come to tonight because of the absence of Tony Richet. And it is quite a shame when, you have a big championship finale. Well, they were quite far behind, but, there was still a championship chance. Remember Mateo a couple seasons ago? He was seemingly out of reach, but he managed to hit the strike while the iron was hot and won the championship against all the odds. But
yeah, and it wasn't in the bag for Volokong either. Needed to finish 7th as Leon gets a big whack of oversteer coming out of turn 7, just riding the curbs, not particularly to the niceties of that Sauber car. 51.5 is the back end again, looking to step out as he chucks the car into the left-hander of turn 9. That Sauber looks fairly unstable, but Leon has traditionally been pretty quick in qualifying. Did get a couple of late race and post-race penalties last week in Brazil after some scrapes and skirmishes with Dirk in the closing stages as the rain started to fall. Wide there through 14 though, and that is for the 3rd time. That's a hat-trick of invalidations for Leon as he will continue to qualify and stay at the back of the pack. Wide as well through the final corner. Time would have been fairly decent, 21.5. But with those 2 invalidations, means he won't be finding anything at all as Nico currently holding P3 with a very decent lap time actually in the Williams, 21.3. Probably the only decent lap time Williams are going to be doing in 2026, judging by the rumours.
That's quite a low blow, that.
I like
honestly.
Williams. I really like Williams, but yeah, it's not looking great, is it?
Yeah, I prefer Harry. Oh wait, wrong William. Anyway,
Serena
so, yeah.
is my favourite.
Sorry?
Serena Williams, my favourite Williams.
Oh, God's sake. I was referencing the royal family. Thinking Serena.
Oh, Nico, keep it out of the walls there. Already chopped off the apex of turn 12, invalidating that lap time. I think it's an in-lap anyway, but almost drifting and almost looping it round through 13 and 14 as he returns to the pits. Couple of podium finishes for Nico this season. Second early in the season at Kota, and then a second place a couple of weeks ago as well in Saudi Arabia. In between that, there wasn't a lot to speak of, but another driver whose peaks are very, very high. Just needs to try and work on that consistency, really, running that, of course, beautiful Gulf livery Williams car. Leon's still out there, by the way. Are we pushing? I don't think we are. I think he's going to return to the pits once more and make it 3 attempts at a flying lap, none successful. That's something you've got to be careful of as well. That has reminded me. Drivers, they will get it removed, of course, come post-race, but you do pick up a warning if you cross the white line at the inside on the pit lane entry. Most drivers that have played this game and played previous F1 games will know that that has been a feature for quite a while, and it will be slightly annoying for the stewards post-race. They have to remove any penalties because of that little glitch.
Yeah. So, 3 minutes and change left. Should be seeing a couple of drivers heading out. Volokongan's out, fades out. Aston Martin, which of course used to be Force India, and then Stroll, a certain Stroll, with his cash, decided to make the team a big time team and completely overhaul the place, get big headquarters set up, and it is tight enough a team. Not won any races yet, but surely they're due a race win, especially with Alonso at the wheel.
The rumours, though, don't sound great. Aston Martin apparently, like Williams, failing crash tests and are overweight. They obviously didn't test today. McLaren and Ferrari knew they weren't testing here because they said that it was their plan. I'm not 100% sure if that's a little bit of waffle going on there, or whether it was their plan to arrive late and give themselves as much development time as possible. And Williams already admitted that they were going to be missing the first test, or the shakedown test, people like to call it, at Barcelona because of the issues that team are having, very reminiscent, of course, of 2024 and 2019, of course, where they actually missed parts of testing, turned up slow and illegal, which wasn't great there for Paddy Lowe as he left the technical department just a few weeks later.
Yeah, and it was probably in wake of that happening, and you don't want to be making those kind of mistakes because it could definitely cost your job, as you can see. Or did he resign? I can't remember.
I think he resigned. I can't remember 100%. But to round out qualifying, let's go on a lap then with the new champion, Volokongan, champion of season 41, charging into turn 1, trying to use as much road as he possibly can. Little bit of mid-corner understeer, but keeps it between the white lines crucially. And now this is flat as you like. Just try and shave off as much time and as much of the track as you possibly can through 2, 3 and 4. Braking heavily down to 5, like we've seen a lot of drivers doing, using a lot of curb. But that serrated curve, very, very bumpy, can spit you wide of the apex, and Volokongan falling foul of that ever so slightly, despite finding half a tenth through said first sector. Keeping on the flat part of the track over to the right hand side. Can't get cheeky, can't get lazy with it, because you will invalidate, as Leon has done again. Really bumpy over the curbs, does well though to slam the anchors on, cranks the steering lock through 6, good run through 7 as well, and 8 is absolutely flat as well. Now you're just pulling gears all the way up into turn number 9. This corner requires total confidence, total commitment. Chuck the car in there and hope it sticks. Really tight to the apex, but not brilliant middle sector for Volokongan, because he's lost about a tenth to his personal best. This could be a bit of a disaster qualifying session for the newly crowned champion. Really aggressive on the turning again into turn 12 through 13. Keep it smooth through 14 as well. Don't want to be using that Fernando Alonso inducing understeering driving style. Now just 15 and 16. First half of it is flat. Brake heavily into the clumsy final corner. Get the car rotated. Plant the power down as we cut the beam up into P3. Very good final sector. Fastest of the session for Volokongan, but he's still slower than his teammate, but is level with Otsazito.
So time's up on the session line. Let's see if anyone can top Otsuzito's time. Volkongan and sorry, not Otsuzito, Finley's time. Who's coming across the line now? That would be Paulie Mackey. He goes above Phil, who's just completed his lap. Next up should be the Williams of Nico. Yes, Nico coming through the final turn. And can he improve in his time? Yes, he can. Goes up to 121.276 above the 121.336 is set by Otsuzito and Volkongan. The exact same time. I've actually seen that quite a few times this season. It's quite interesting when it happens.
Otsuzito misses it.
Time.
And Finlay's invalidated. That was a chance there for Otsuzito to steal it right at the death with a buzzer beater. Misses it by 100th of a second. Dirk is still out there improving along with Zwade and Gavroche, who comes up to line, goes fastest. Wow, steals it. 21-1 for Gavroche. Wasn't expecting that one. Takes it away from the Mercedes and the Ferrari. Volkongan bumped down to 5th. No improvement for Leon. Still can't get a time on the board. Round the final corner with Dirk, 8th at the moment, but slides off the road. And that is an invalidation. And Zwade is down by 10 seconds. So, like you say, that is that, and it is Gavroche, who we weren't speaking about at all through qualifying, with a brilliant last-gasp effort to go fastest. Only driver in the 21-1s, picks the pocket of Finlay, with Otsuzito, Nico and Volkongan in pursuit behind.
Well, I wasn't expecting that. Gavroche tops the table, and will be starting on pole position ahead of Finlay. Otsuzito in the second row with Nico joining alongside him, and Volkongan on the third row in 5th. That will conclude the session. Just 13 drivers participating tonight. Leon, the only driver not to set a time, unfortunately. The 2 Visa Cash App Racing Bulls will be lining up 8th and 9th. There's only, it seems like they are one of only 3 teams tonight that have a second driver. The others being Mercedes and Aston Martin. Oh no, sorry, Williams have got a second driver as well. So there are 14. There are 4 teams with a second driver. Just 5 without, and I do think there's 1 absent team. I'm still trying to figure. Is it
no Maccas?
McLaren, is it?
Yeah, no McLarens on the grid.
Maccas? That sounds like you're going to say McDonald's.
No, the Maccas. No McLaren. It's like Maserati. Short on that, say the Mazas, the Fezzas for the Ferrari. Shorthand stuff. But yeah, no McLarens on there. They aren't going to pick up the wooden spoon in the constructors. That is all but signed, sealed and delivered stateside for Haas to pick up the wooden spoon. Just 8 points so far this season. There is a chance for Paulie Mackey to pick up a decent whack, but Sauber, who are in 9th place, are comfortably clear by about 25 points. So that's not really up for debate. Jess has jumped in the chat. Welcome in, Jess. Shame the turnout isn't the best for the finale, but so close in qualifying, and indeed it was. It sets us up nicely for the race, of course. Champion going from P5 with no Tony Richet, of course. If you missed the very start, Tony Richet backing out with about an hour to go, meaning that Volkongan was crowned champion, regardless of what happens in this race, with his main rival, one of them leaving after 4 rounds, the other one not turning up this week after the ban imposed in Brazil.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you play stupid games. You win stupid prizes. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah.
I mean, do I disagree with you? I don't think I do. If you remember back to Saudi Arabia a couple of weeks ago, they were knocking 10 bells out of each other, Volkongan and Tony Richet. It was box office. It was explosive to watch, but Tony Richet eventually, and probably rightly, was banged to rights. In the end, just stepping over the line. It was unfortunate that it pushed him over the limit of penalty points to pick up a ban, but, you know, game's the game, isn't it?
I thought you were talking about Lawrence for a second.
Lawrence is a completely different story. Picked up 9 penalty points in one race. That must be a record.
I've not seen more. Anyway, here we go. We have 5 lights ahead of the drivers, and T-Dub, take it away.
Let's have some fun tonight, shall we? Champion from P5, Gavroche versus Finlay. We're racing for the final chapter in Season 41. Great start for Volkongan. Already disposes Nico, is having it back down the inside into Turn 1. Very, very tetchy is one of the Haas drivers. I think it's Paulie Mackey there going wide. Gavroche still comfortable. Volkongan all over the place, but he does displace Nico eventually. Gets himself confirmed up into 4th place. Has to throw the defensive shape into Turn 5. Brave under brakes. Look at his teammate charging around the outside, dueling away with Otsuzito for 2nd and 3rd as Gavroche tries to strip stretches legs off into the distance. Neck and neck, eyeball to eyeball, the Mercedes and the Ferrari. Their teammates were battling for the championship. They're dicing it out for second on the opening lap, but it is Finlay with a straight line speed advantage. Is Ossazito brave into the braking zone? The answer is no. Dirk is definitely, though, because he chucks it down the inside of the Williams of Nico, starting on the hard compound tyre, I believe, keeping it in 5th place.
So Gavroche still in the lead, but Finlay's close behind and he's going to try and make the move onto the inside. Oh, what the hell was that? Was there a lag there? I have no idea, but it looks like that Finlay has taken the lead immediately at turn 9. And also fighting is Polomaki and Phil, and they're joined by Dirk, who's went them off the track. That's not very nice to see. And now the Haas driver Polomaki has stopped fighting with Max van der Geest in that pink V-Carb. Side by side out of the hotel complex into the final 2 corners, and now they're going to fight, also fighting Leon and Sfade for that final points paying position here. Very crucial, especially at the last race. You want to go out on a high. Lap number 2, Finlay still leads.
Bad start for Jordan, dropped 5 seconds off the back of the pack and missing his right hand end plate on that front wing. Not good news at all. Great start for both Silveraris. Finlay from 2nd up to 1st. Volokonen from 5th. Champion getting up inside the top 3. Remember, every single champion in PSGL PSF1 history has won a race in their championship winning campaign. Volokonen yet to do so. Finished 2nd, runner-up 3 times this season with a further 3rd place to add to the podium tally. But this is an opportunity because the pace in the early stages looks pretty strong as they clatter into the polystyrene braking boards. We bring the tyres up. It is a little bit mixed. Well, almost 50-50 you could say. Finlay, Volokonen, Phil, Polymaki, Leon, Zwade and Jordan all on the medium tyre. The hard tyre, definitely the compound that you want to favour. That is what is being run by Gavroche, Ottazito, Nico, Dirk, Max van der Geest and Lars Kramer.
Still looking pretty steady as they finish about to finish the 2nd lap of this race. Polomaki close behind Van der Geest, who has been pretty dicey with in this section of the previous lap. Finlay still in the lead now, 6 tenths. With Volokonen behind 7 tenths. Is he going to try and get his first win of the season? That is the question. As Jordan's already got on the board, he had a spin earlier on the 1st lap at turn 3. And unfortunately paid the price. Lap 3 begins with Finlay setting the fastest lap as he starts his 3rd of 29 laps.
Yeah, things just cooling down. You can see pretty much equidistant from 1st down into 9th with gaps around 5 or 6 tenths of a second. This is where people are just going to dig in, especially on the medium tyre. Not a brilliant compound on this configuration of circuit. We know the hard tyres on F125 generally are a very, very good compound. The mediums in particular around here are a little bit stinky as Ossazito closes up to the back of the champion Volokonen. It's actually Gavroche who's followed in deep by Ossazito there. The 2 Mercs getting it right in 1st and 3rd. The drivers 2nd and 4th making a bit of a mess of it, and that could leave the Ferrari, last week's winner, a little bit exposed with Nico just chomping at the bit, nipping at the heels of the Scarlet car, maybe deploying a little bit of ERS, but it's not a heavy braking zone down into turn 9. He can't just chuck it down the inside, but again Ossazito slightly wide there, just struggling with the dirty air. Phil also struggling to cling onto the coattails of the group in front, just briefly dropped outside of a second away from Nico, getting it back though on the run through 9, 10, 11 and 12. The 2 RBs getting stuck in as well, Polymaki and then Leon in 10th, rounding out the points paying positions as things stand.
Mix of hard and medium tyres being used by a lot of the field tonight. It looks nearly half and half. Well, it can't be half and half because of course there's an odd number of drivers, but pretty much is. That's probably why Finlay got ahead. It was quicker than scheduled because of his softer tyre, but of course they're going to wear it sooner. So Gavroche will close in eventually, and we could have another fight on our hands. You see, it's went down from like 7 tenths to 4 tenths now, so it could be a sign that, well, to be fair, the DRS is going to make it a little more difficult for Finlay to hold his position, and Gavroche has got it right now, but he doesn't seem to be an attacking mood today. Otsuzito is also within that battle with this top 4. Volokonen, of course, still trying to charge the first ring. He looks like he's had a good second win here for Gavroche, but Gavroche is up there, not seemingly going to attack, and I do wonder how long it's going to be until he does attempt to make the move back for the lead.
Happy to play the waiting game as things stand. I think that's the best way to do it. Once you've got track position on these hard tyres, they can be a little bit difficult to warm up and get the energy, as we're still seeing, because Gavroche all over the place there through 12 and 13. Once again under the microscope from the champion. Otsazito and Nico in hot pursuit as well. Second, third, fourth, flashing through. I think I said second, third, florsh, flith. That's definitely not the right way to put it, but all flashing through right at the same point, nose to tail. You can see they're really close together. Volokong and Otsazito. Nico applying the blowtorch to the Scarlet Ferrari into turn 1. Phil just behind them on the medium tyres. Slightly wide though through turn 1. And look at this. Nico really racy here. Wants to get on with it. Get a shift on, saying, come on, mate, you're in a Ferrari. Should be a bit quicker than this. Having to go a little bit defensive there, Otsazito, to make sure he holds onto the track position. Doesn't give him the optimal line and the optimal run coming out of turn 5. With the helping hand of DRS to Volokong and in front, I think he should be safe on the run down into the 6-7 chicane. Just hold that thought, because the gap is just hovering around 0.2 per second. Once again, Otsazito just pulling over to the middle of the track to keep that Williams at arm's length.
Sorry, what turn numbers are the chicane?
Can't remember. No idea what you're talking about. Otsazito now with great drive coming out of turn 7. Once again, he's putting the pressure on the champion Volokongan as they come through into turn 9. Still no opportunity as yet to make a dicey lunge.
So, closing in the 5th lap of this race. We've got to keep it a steady pace on those hard tyres. And Volokongan is probably itching to get through, because look who is right behind him. Otsazito in a Ferrari, in the fantastic Ferrari with the wheel covers and all. They should have kept that for the rest of the season, but I don't work for Ferrari, so I can't influence them on that. Finley still in the lead. His gap seems to have increased again, so that's good news for him. But not good news if you're Gavroche. And wondering if this... Do you think it's going to be a 2-stop T-dub? Or do you think they'll get away with the 1-stop?
I'm fairly confident you can do the 1-stop. Volokongan wide there through 5. Dirk dives down the inside of Phil. The Aston Martin gets the traction and the drive coming out of it, but laying his cars down on the table is the Monaco Grand Prix winner. Otsazito still putting pressure on the recently crowned champion, but Phil's going to have to do some defending here into the chicane, because Dirk making his intentions clear again. The Aston Martin turns in. The RB's right there. Punchy stuff from both drivers. Now they wheel lock and both of them fall off the track. Mats van der Geest to try and lap this one up on a silver spoon, because there's his teammate struggling for grip, struggling for speed, and he's going to walk straight around the outside, you'd imagine, and does. Mats van der Geest getting ahead of his teammate as Dirk and Phil getting a little bit intertwined and entangled there, as Lars Kramer down the inside of Leon tries to go for the double up there, because Wade's a little bit wide and a little bit deep through turn 9, and that is beautifully done by the Williams. Takes a couple of places just through the one corner.
So, Dirk falling down a position to his teammate Van de Geest, now starting to close in. He thought he could have had a look at Phil there, but unfortunately we'll have to wait, it seems. The top 5 still look pretty snug together, but Finley still trying to pull away. Gavroche as well, Volokongan trying to keep in tow, but the distance seems to be half that behind him than it is in front. Otsazito itching to get going. He's in a Ferrari, which you said you better speed up. You're in a Ferrari.
Oh,
well,
look at this, just
fair,
cutting in once again. Phil under pressure from a V-Cub car. This time it's the other one of Mats van der Geest who tried it down the inside of turn 5. This time they were getting big squeeze as Dirk tries to follow in the footsteps of his teammate. Van der Geest is through, Dirk is through. Looked like it was going to happen on the previous lap. Does happen this time on lap 7. Phil dropping behind the 2 V-Carb teammates who still have an outside shot of picking up the Constructors' Championship. Doesn't help that Otsazito still running and riding nicely in P4. Now it's Van der Geest with no DRS. Phil still wants a piece of the action as he looked at it down the inside into turn number 9, but had to back out of it as those medium tyres just starting to squeal and scream for a little bit of mercy there compared to the hard tyres, which are definitely the optimum compound at this stage of the stint. And Polly Mackie all over the rear end of that Aston Martin car.
Top 5 really starting to close up here at the hotel section. Finley is now only 3 tenths ahead, but it looks like Volokongan's lost some time as well. His gap's now only 6 tenths. Otsazito is still within 4 tenths. Nico as well. Van der Geest starting to lose some time. He is now 1.2 seconds behind Nico. All that battling has come at a cost. a possibility of having to work even harder to get up the order. But it looks like he's cutting it down. Yes, he should have DRS in this next detection zone. And now there will be more battling happening, and we hope, because Finlay is going to have to defend his position soon. But who's the one that's going to be defending it ultimately? Doesn't look like anyone's going to have a shot.
Still all very calm, still all very orderly, although this is the closest Gavroche has been for a little while as those medium tyres start to wane. Maybe the pole sitter think he can try and strike while the iron's hot and take the lead of the race back. Going defensive is Finlay. Sees the threat of the white ball behind, but switching off the battery is Gavroche, still happy to sit and wait in the wings behind the Mercedes. Look how much more speed he was able to carry into turn 9. Just balked by the fact that Finlay was just parking the bus at the apex there. Nothing really Gavroche could do without being overly willing to try and take the lead off the hands of the Mercedes man, with Volokong and Osazito and Nico still very much in this lead quintet of cars. Max von der Gies, like he said, he got himself back within the 1 second window, now fallen away once again, just trying to cling on to that quintet in front to keep this DRS train from first down into 12th, with Leon right at the back of it, and then Jordan, who pitted a few laps ago, 27 seconds off the back of the snake.
So Red Bull still stuck in the meter for Mercedes sandwich. It just feels like 2020 again. But Gavroche really starting to feel a groove, to find a groove here, and now could be looking at taking the top position once again. Gavroche is going to have DRS. Finlay is going to have nothing but the energy in his battery, and it doesn't seem like Gavroche wants position yet. Does he? Is he going to try it on the inside? No, he's still standing by in second place, waiting for a mistake potentially from Finlay. This is allowing Volokong to close up though, so this isn't all plain sailing for Gavroche. And Otsazito is behind as well. Is this the move?
Time.
Yes, it is! Finally, he's through.
That got tied at the apex there. Finlay turned in. Gavroche was a little bit indecisive, went for the move late, but does steal the lead of the race back. The pole sitter in the lead of the Grand Prix, ahead of the two Mercedes cars. Battle going on as Lars Kramer has dispossessed Paulie Mackie in the battle for 9th and 10th. Lars Kramer had to deal with the wrath of Lawrence last week, which is part of the explanation why Lawrence isn't here, because of those 9 penalty points picked up in one singular race. Paulie Mackie demoted down into 10th, ahead of the Aston Martin of Suede, who's now 1 second off the back of the group in front. And Paulie Mackie, after losing that place, decided it's time to jump into the pits for a fresh set of boots. The mediums, not a particularly good race tyre compared to the hards, and Paulie Mackie maybe just trying to steal a march on some of his rivals, get himself a bit of an undercut to pick up some track position, as Gavroche really extending his legs out front now. 1.2 seconds, breaking the DRS to Finlay.
Yeah, that is starting to look very ominous.
Otsazito, by the way, under pressure. Otsazito is disconnected. No. Not good news. Last week's winner drops behind the Williams of Nico. Had to be on the button to try and dispossess the Ferrari. I think the two V-carbs are going to help themselves as well. This is proper buffet driving. Yes, the DRS is open, but Otsazito going to get gobbled up. Max von der Gies around the outside. The worst camera angle known to man as we go into turn 6 and 7. Dirk follows through as well. Both RBs getting through. Otsazito rejoins the session, but he has lost a whole host of time and a few places as well. Phil getting involved. Lars Kramer on the inside. We are 3 wide through 8 and on the run-up into 9. Lars Kramer's through. The Aston Martin of Phil is through as well. And the man that was comfortably running in P4 now tumbles down to 9th as the two Mercedes swap places as well. Volokong trying to keep tabs on Gavroche out in front. Takes second away from Finlay.
Yes, the two Mercedes, as you heard, switching positions. I think they're starting to feel that Volokong is going to take the lead off the team as we speak. And 2 seconds is the gap now. No one pitting though, so it's probably a sign that they're going long. But Spade is going to be going long. It is not going to be going long. He's going to be in right now.
He's pulling the punch. Nico runs wide through turn 1. That'll be a corner cutting warning. Finlay definitely struggling with his medium tyres. Big whack of oversteer. Whoa, armful of opposite lock. Had to catch the car to some tune there through turn 3. Now Nico's going to stick his nose down the inside. Contact and the Williams is round and spins into the path of Max von der Gies. Leon with a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pits. Big damage for the Williams as Leon retires. Throws in the towel, and we're not even at half race distance. And now Nico's got to deal with his teammate Lars Kramer. Did Max von der Gies Geese get damaged? Did Dirt get damaged? Kramer goes through. Nico down to P7. Finlay was all over the place. Lars Kramer, Nico, sorry, chucked it up the inside. Look at the big damage there on the front wing. Maybe just a little bit too ambitious. Smashed into the side pod of the Mercedes. Found himself half spun around. Contact with Von der Geest. Contact with Dirk as well as they tried to come through.
Gap getting even bigger at the top. 3 seconds. I think it's time that the medium tyres be binned. They've just seen 2 medium tyre runners pit for hard tyres on around the 9th or 10th lap. I think this might be a sign Volokongen's coming in. No, he's not. It's going to be Finlay instead. He's trying to undercut his own teammate. Well, we'll have to find out as everyone's going to take their position. Zito, though, down in P6 after that incident, the disconnect incident. Phil's also in, Nico in because, of course, damage. He will resume his race on a new set of hard tyres.
That's the compound you want. Hard tyres, much better than the mediums, as we're seeing. But Polymaki with that undercut from a couple of laps ago. Finlay started on the medium tyres.
No, I meant Nico. I thought he started on
Nico. Nico. Oh, that's an interesting one, actually. I will have a look. Nico, yes, he has gone hard.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I was looking at Jordan for some reason. Yeah, he's on hard. So he will have to pit again. You must use at least 2 different compounds during the race. You cannot do 2 hards, 2 softs, etc. It has to be hard, medium, hard, soft, medium, soft. That is, of course, unless it is raining, where that rule is waived off.
Interesting strategy. It might just be Nico having a bit of fun here late on, or because he had to change the front wing, he wants to come in again. I'm not 100% sure. We'll wait and see how that develops. Gap out in front, continue to extend. Volokongen, he's taken a lot of pain in the last couple of laps and does pull into the pits and is going to lay those medium tyres to rest, but it's a 3-second penalty. What I would say is that will 100% get removed unless he picks up more warnings that will take him over 3 seconds. I think you can definitely get 1 warning there unnecessary. That also, I think that's probably a double warning for Volokongen going through that corner. So fear not, fans of the newly crowned champion, that will be removed. It is a bug in the game system as Jordan falls foul of it as well, coming through. And yes, it has been in the game for quite a while and unfortunately has never been removed. Polymaki is technically the net race leader out there with that undercut by a couple of laps ahead of Finlay, ahead of Volokongen. Dirt trying to pull one over on his teammate though, and that is easy as you like, flying past Max von der Geest. The only trouble is they're now 5.5 seconds off the back of Gavroche.
Yeah, but remember the top 5 have not pitted and Dirt was a little further down the order. Yeah, as we're saying, if he wants to get that penalty removed, Volokongen, he will have to report it to the stewards. I remember Jarno Ottmeyer had the same thing at this track, but it was for I think he had no choice but to cross the, was it the track? He had to cross the runoff area after the chicane, and the game gave him 10 seconds unfairly because he was pushed off. But because I believe either he didn't have the footage or he forgot to record it or he gave the wrong footage or something, he didn't actually lose those 10 seconds and he would have won the race. It was an epic win as well, but he didn't declare it, so his penalty couldn't be removed and he scored no points.
Yeah, it is a little bit frustrating. Is if you touch the curb, you can just see it here as we'll go around the final corner. If you touch that curb coming into the pit lane, you're automatically hit with either 1 warning or you get a double warning, which is unfortunate, especially for the stewards. They're going to have to try and work through that one. Phil with the fastest lap of the race, pitted a couple of laps ago. As Polymaki, your net race leader, there is going to be an interesting dynamic unfolding in the second half of the race because these hard tyre runners are going to have to go another 3 or 4 laps. Maybe we know the mediums. Yes, the fuel's going to burn away, but the mediums do lose their real sharp edge of performance very, very quickly indeed. So we could be in a scenario where the guys that are going for this hard medium stretch, they catch the runners that went medium hard, then they haven't got the tyres to work their way through.
I don't, so let's see if we're going to see any battles on this straight, one of the longest in Formula 1. It's about, is it 1.3, 1.4 kilometers? It is quite long. I remember there was, of course, there's Baku as Finlay makes the move, and of course there's Las Vegas, just kind of curved to start with, and they go down such insane speed. I think it's 220 mile an hour. It's absolutely nuts.
Very, very fast indeed. One Mercedes passing Polymaki. I think the other Mercedes is going to follow suit very, very shortly. We've just broken the fulcrum point of the race past half distance. Finlay, now your net race leader, ahead of Polymaki and Volokongen. The three of them have been through the pits for their one and only stop this race. Volokongen, as we know, or as we think, will be able to get the 3-second penalty that he's currently been given removed post-race. So treat it as if he doesn't have a 3-second penalty at the moment. The leader's still staying out the top 5. Gavroche with a hefty 6-second advantage over the squabbling RBs, Lars Kramer and Otsazito, who's, after disconnecting, has done a really good job to get himself back into the same kind of ballpark with Dirk van der Geest and Kramer, as we watch the champion of season 41, Volokongen, cruise up to the back of Polymaki. The Haas will have DRS, but I think this should be fairly regulation for Volokongen. He just needs to decide, does he want to go for the move now, or does he wait until turn 9? Well, I think he's going to get his skates on, dive down the inside. Is Polymaki going to fight this? Just tries to keep his nose in there on the outside, but Volokongen disposes of the Haas, and that is 7th place now for the newly crowned champion.
Yeah, we've still got Polymaki right behind him, as you can see. It's not going to be close enough, of course. The two recarbs there, currently in 2nd and 3rd, but of course the top 5 yet to make a pit stop. They'll be doing that late in the race for, we assume, medium tyres. Got 14 laps to go as Gavroche crosses the line again, 6-2 ahead. But of course, yet to pit. Lars Kramer there as well, just behind the two RBs. We've got the battle between Finlay, Volokongen, Polymaki as well. They'll be scrappling over 6th place.
So Lars Kramer, close, 0.4 of a second off the back of Mats van der Geest. This quartet have just been in a bit of a stalemate for the last 3 or 4 laps. The gap to Gavroche is just eking out by a couple of tenths a lap. The Red Bull seemingly has this quartet covered, as Dirk holds off his teammate. They did swap places a few laps ago, and there you can see in the background, there are the drivers that have already been in. Only 7.5 seconds, Finlay, off the back of Otsazito. That's going to be a hell of a lot of work for these 4 in particular to try and catch the Mercs and Polymaki come the end of the race. Gavroche is a different story, being nearly 6.5 seconds further down the road. Lars Kramer burning a little bit of ERS there, closing up to the back of Van der Geest, but not closing close enough to try it into turn number 9. Dirk also still holds on to that 2nd place ahead of Otsazito. As Volokongen, down the inside of his teammate, looked a little bit unstable there at the apex of turn 9, but does dispossess Finlay of 6th place, and the championship leader, the championship winner, is now the net race leader as well. And he'll try and charge off into the distance, you would imagine, give himself the best possible opportunity and the biggest gap once Gavroche makes his way out of the pits on his brand new set of mediums.
And it looks like Van der Geest is coming into pit for medium tyres, I presume. Volokongen is going to take position. What's happened?
Well, he just was completely locked up, slammed the anchors on. Volokongen fastest lap. But yeah, that clearly was a little bit sketchy for Mats van der Geest to make sure he didn't speed.
Yeah, so he comes out and he should be, I'm not sure if we'll get ahead of Nico. Well, they'll be probably side by side coming out. Let's see if that's the case.
Just ahead.
Not, he's just ahead.
And that's
so
crucial.
He will be in, yes, it is. As we can see, the lead is now cut down to 5.2. And of course, still yet to pit. If I get the leader up, he is, as it stands, 15 seconds down on Phil, 11 seconds on Volokongen. So, imagine he'd have to pit a little later.
Well, Gavroche has clearly had a bit of a scruffy lap because, like you said, that gap has been eroded by a second. Was 6.5 seconds, now 5.3. So must have made a mistake out there somewhere. Clearly struggling with his hard compound tyres. Will he dive into the pits at the end of the lap? A little bit wide there through the penultimate corner, and does jump into the pits. The car was a bit unstable, having to wrestle with it. Dirk in, Kramer in, Otsazito in as well. So it will be Volokongen who will assume the lead of the race, as I think he went slightly wide over the track limits through the penultimate corner, with his teammate Finlay just behind, almost as a rear gunner if you like. And Polymaki will move up into 3rd position. What will the gap gap be when the Red Bull emerges from the pits on those medium tyres? They will be very, very quick in the first 5 or 6 laps, but we saw in the early stages they fell away pretty sharpishly. Gavroche coming out of the tunnel now is going to be close with Max von der Geest, who's pulled off an unbelievable undercut. Jordan with a 3-second penalty. Max von der Geest, that undercut has worked unbelievably. He's gained about 5 seconds.
Yeah, he has. That is an incredible difference. Vola Kongen has timed his pit stop to perfection. He has got that 3-second penalty. Again, it could be removed. And Finlay to fight off as well. But don't count out the medium tyre runners, because of course they will be rapid on these tyres initially, and then it might become a problem. So keep your eyes peeled on the timing graphic for the next few minutes.
10 seconds the gap from Volokongen back to Gavroche with 12 laps to go, but Mats von der Geest have to shout it out again. Incredible undercut. He was 6 seconds behind Gavroche, plus a little bit more, I think, by the time he came into the pits. 1 lap undercut has put him right underneath the rear wing of the pole sitter. And this is going to be a fascinating chase now, with maybe 2 cars that can charge towards the Mercs out in front, who have dropped, crucially, Polly Mackie, now 1.4 seconds off the back of Finlay, and is going to be falling into the clutches maybe of the 2 Aston Martins, Phil in particular, who has a couple of lap fresher hard compound tyres. Gavroche and Mats von der Geest, they're going to have to pick the traffic off fairly quickly, get through the Aston Martins and Polly Mackie quickly. Fastest lap of the race goes to von der Geest as well. He was behind his teammate when he made his stop. He's now over 4 seconds ahead of Dirk, with Lars Kramer and Ossazito in that fight as well.
So yes, Gavroche is now just under 10 seconds behind Volokongen thanks to that undercut. And Volokongen could actually get his first win, and what a time to get it.
Would be a very nice way to end the season. Of course, if you missed the stat, there has been no PSGL PSF1 champion that hasn't won a race in their championship winning campaign. Lars Kramer disposes of Dirk with a helping hand of DRS up into 8th place, despite a bit of a front lock up there going into turn number 6. Ossazito will be trying to follow in the footsteps of the RB car. Tries to plant the loud pedal out of turn 7 as Nico picks up a 3-second penalty for corner cutting, desperately trying to work his way past Dirk. Ossazito at one stage was in P4, but a disconnection has ruined any real chances of finishing on the podium. Gavroche and Mats von der Geest have taken about a second out of the leaders on this lap. That's not really enough, I wouldn't say.
So the two McLarens, so no McLarens here. The 2 Mercedes are here tonight in first and second at the moment. Gap now starting to come down 8-6 between Gavroche and Volokongen. Gavroche, of course, started on pole position. Tried the undercut, but it seemed to have... Wait, did he try the back undercut? I think... Well,
Gavroche came in, so if you missed the picture as Nico into the pits, that's probably retirement, and Ears, that'll bump Jordan up to 11th. Question from Daniel, what happened to Jordan? Spun on the opening lap, picked up damage, hasn't really looked back since. It's not been ideal at all. But it is swayed under pressure from Gavroche. The drivers out front on the hard tyres, they started on the mediums, pitted quite a while ago. Gavroche, Mats von der Geest, they've only recently been in the pits after starting on the hards to put on a set of medium tyres. Mats von der Geest has executed his undercut beautifully. He was 5 seconds plus the rest, actually, off the back of Gavroche when he made a stop. Now is right with him as the Red Bull is going to blast past Wade on his old hard compound tyres. This should be a non-contest into turn 9 and is. 5th place now for the pole sitter, and just 7.2 seconds off the back of Volokongen. The question really is, will he have the tyres by the time he catches the 2 Mercedes cars? And Mats von der Geest doesn't want to leave this too long, doesn't want to let that Red Bull just scamper off into the distance, because there's definitely a podium opportunity for von der Geest if he can keep tabs on Gavroche in front.
So 9 laps to go here. The Yasmina circuit, the finale of season 41, and then season 42 will come in a couple weeks. We will start all over again. The final 10 races of, well, I was about to say this game cycle, but that's before the DLC. Because of course there's not going to be an F1 26 because they decided to put all eggs in one basket and focus on 2027 instead. Well, mainly. Gavroche is now 6.5 seconds down. He's very quick on these tyres. Question is, though, is he going to be quick enough? He's right behind Phil. This will be for 4th.
Should be fairly easy. No DRS. Yeah, Phil doesn't even contest it. I think Mats von der Geest with the same equation, both Aston Martins getting taken there with the DRS as Dirk also gets past Lars Kramer in the background. So both RBs moving forward as the two Aston Martins fall backwards. And Van der Geest, the problem he's got now, he's over 2 seconds off the back of Gavroche, just waiting a further lap to pass Zwade. That has cost him a heck of a lot of time. This duel behind going to continue for 8th, 9th and 10th. Lars Kramer not done with Dirk yet as he thought about it down the inside of 9. Otsazito still on the prowl behind them as they do battle over 8th, 9th and 10th. Still a long way away. Podium's looking unlikely for this trio despite being on the medium tyres at this stage.
Gap now at the top. 5.2 seconds from Gavroche to Volkongen. And the gap at the top two is only 7 tenths. Again, I do apologise if I sound a bit down tonight. It's a variety of reasons. But now Gavroche within 5 seconds. He is on a roll.
Taking chunks of time out of Polymachi, out of the two Mercedes cars. Polymachi at one stage was with the two Mercs, but he's lost a lot of time in the preceding couple of laps, and I think he's going to be under significant pressure. Should be handing that podium place over to Gavroche fairly easy with the helping hand of DRS. The white ball is going to cruise up to the back of the Haas. He might not get him on this straight, but he should definitely get him at worst down into turn 9 as he pulls over to the middle. Willie tried under braking into the chicane. No, just holds back for the time being. Same equation for Max van der Geest, who's cruised up to the back of Phil in the battle for 5th and 6th. Good drive for Polymachi today. Got himself up into the top 3 with that undercut, but this is once again a non-contest. Around the outside we go with Gavroche through 8. Doesn't even need the braking zone to turn 9. That is easy as you like. And that is back up onto the podium for the pole sitter. Just 4.4 seconds off the race lead. How much tyre has he got left though?
We're about to find out. Back in the top 3 is Gavroche. Volkongen must be thinking, uh-oh, I may be in trouble. And so is Finlay. Finlay is now closing up behind. By the way, they're both on 10 lap hard tyres. So, oh no, 11 laps, sorry. I thought they were double stacking at the pits, but no, they weren't. Probably wouldn't be 1 and 2 at that point.
Oh,
so,
big side for, sorry to jump in, Dirk was pretty much perpendicular coming out of the final corner. That was a really good catch.
That was a really good catch indeed, but now 7 laps to go. Are we going to have a safety car? We haven't had a safety car all season.
No, we have not. Bernd Mailander still missing. We don't know what's happened to him. We don't know where he's gone. Hasn't made a single appearance this season. Phil just jinking around. I think that's saying to Max van der Geest, I'm just going to let you go here, and pulling over to the right-hand side. Goes the RB. One Aston Martin moves backwards. The other one could be following suit as well. There is Dirk. There is Kramer. There is Otsazito. This could be a hefty price being paid on the rundown into turn 9 for Zwade. 12 laps on his hard tyres compared to 5-lap old mediums for the trio behind. How many are just going to file straight past? If Dirk is clever here, he could give himself a bit of a chance to run away, create a bottleneck behind Zwade. Through goes the RB. Lars Kramer not close enough, but Zwade understeering through turn 9 opens the door, and blundering through it goes the Williams of Lars Kramer. Otsazito now under the microscope. Needs to be a little bit speedy here. He needs to get his skates on because he doesn't want to lose tabs on that duo in front. There's still a constructors battle to be won here for Ferrari. 14 points ahead of Alpine, who are currently scoring no points. 16 points ahead of RB, with their drivers 5th and 7th as things stand. Just a 1 point for Ferrari as he dives down the inside of the final corner. That was opportunistic. That was clinical from Otsazito. Excellent move to dispose of Zwade. Now needs to get back into the DRS of the Williams in front.
Yeah, but I'm not sure I'll be contesting the win. It's just too big of a gap to make up with just that few laps left to go. Top 2 still working in tandem, it seems. 7.5 tenths is the gap, but Gavroche still starting to close up. I believe they're going. Yeah, they're definitely going in formation, the 2 Mercedes. Gap is still. I think they might start to be running out of steam. Those medium tyres. What's happening behind it is Polymachi and Van der Geest having a fight, but still looks like Van der Geest is unable to get past Polymachi. We've got a battle as well at the back we've forgotten about, but it looks like it's just the top 2, and of course Max van der Geest going around the outside and taking 4th position. And I do think Gavroche is starting to run out of time, Tom.
Yes, 2.5 seconds off the back of Finlay. that time, like you said, he's definitely not catching at the same rate as he was. 5-lap fresher tyres than Volokong and 6-lap fresher tyres than Finlay. But we're starting to get to the point where the mediums are just equalising out a little bit. I expect him to get to the Mercedes cars. That I'm fairly certain of. Whether he will be able to overtake them and then stay there, that's a very different kettle of fish. Actually had a really strong final set there. Gavros took a couple of tenths out of Finlay and Volokongen. He's left Max von der Gies massively in his weight. 3.5 seconds off the back of the Red Bull is the RB car. Max von der Gies at one stage was in a title battle, but the consistency, the relentless consistency of Volokongen and the high peaks of Tony Richet basically squeezed von der Gies out of the title race. I think we are going to have a battle for the win. If you are new and you see the 3-second penalty Volokongen's got, we believe that will be removed. It was a double warning for crossing the white line or cutting over the curb on pit lane entry. It is a known little bit of an F125 funny, of course. So we expect that to be removed. And with 4.5 to go, the two Mercedes, the Silver Arrow still running in formation here in first and second. Finlay not inclined at all to try and pass his team. He's definitely going to be working as a rear gunner for Volokongen to get that first win of the season in the finale.
So, we're approaching the very end of this Grand Prix. Volokongen looking for his first win at last. To ignore the penalty, we've just explained that he's probably going to have that removed, of course, if he has the footage. But now, Gavrok is 1.5 within Finlay, and it is starting to fall again. Has he found a new groove?
The further we get into this race, the worse those medium tyres are going to be feeling. The hard tyres should hold on pretty well. They are pretty robust around this circuit. It's the medium tyres you've got to worry about. Gavros should be certain to finish on the podium at worst, the pole sitter. It's whether he can get ahead of the Mercs and then stay there with 4 laps remaining. Max von der Gies should be finishing in 4th. He might fancy his chances of catching come the end of this race, but with 1 lap older tyres than Gavros, that is a tall order, as the Red Bull is pretty much inside the 1 second window. But look at this choo-choo train. Polymaki with Phil just inside the 1 second window. Then it's Dirk, Lars Kramer and Otsazito right in the thick of the battle as well. The scrap for P5 in the closing stages could be very exciting as well.
Could be indeed, but it looks like the gap's starting to pull away again. Or actually, I might be reading this wrong. I've changed it from leader to interval several times. I think it might be the same gap. What's going to happen at the back here? We've got Phil just behind Polymaki for 5th place, and it looks like that a poor Burn Maylander is not going to get a chance to speak. Gavrok is now in DRS.
So, the hunted have indeed been hunted, but can the hunter now catch and overtake the hunted? Can he catch his prey and get past and win this race? Remember, took pole position. Gavros opted to start on the hard tyres. The two Mercs went for the mediums off the line, giving them the better compound at the end of the race. It's just a question as to whether those mediums can last to the end of lap 29 and remain competitive for that time frame. 3 laps to go in season 41. The battle out in front continues to rage on. Max von der Gies in a bit of no man's land, but it's Polymaki. 17 laps on his hard compound tyres. Phil, 15 laps on his hard compound tyres, under pressure, under the microscope, because Phil is now being dive bombed there by Dirk into turn 5. The RB, late move, bit of a shoulder barge and a wheel look as well as Dirk pulls through. Phil making his aspirations and his intentions clear as he tries to fight this one back down the straight, still jinking all over the place. The pair of the Aston Martin versus the RB. Once again, we get a terrible angle coming into 6 and 7, but it is Dirk. They've been off the road once, these two already. Lars Kramer fancies his chance. He's going to pit the pocket of both of them around the outside. Here comes the Williams blasting through. Look at Otsazito. Can he find space to the inside? Almost 4 wide there. Dirk somehow comes up on top as Phil drops to the back of this group, but it's the RB running slightly wide. Kramer, has he got a foothold in this battle? Going to be boxed in behind the ailing Haas of Polymaki. It'll have to be the outsider 12 if he can manage it, but Dirk has it covered for the time being. The 3 medium runners still somehow in the order they were at the start of the lap, with Phil bumped right to the back of that group.
But look what's more important here. Gavrok is now right behind Finlay. Finlay is going to have to play a defensive game here. Says, no, you're not having Volokongen go as champion without winning a race. Absolutely not, he says. Forget that 3-second penalty. He's getting it removed, he says. He's going to try and stay out of DRS range. But Finlay is going to have to do everything he can to get past Gavrock. Gavrock has a lot of energy. So does Finlay. Who's going to get this here? Forget the battle behind. That's going to be exciting. But this is for the win here. Gavrock is not going to be close enough. And is Finlay going to play some defensive here?
Can't get him yet.
It doesn't seem like it. Are we going to have 3 wide for the win?
Well, it's
Meanwhile,
a
the battle's
2v1
further
scrap.
back.
Polymaki
Further
under
back,
pressure
there's a battle,
again.
but
Yeah.
is there going to be a move from Gavrock, or is he going to save it to the last lap? I think he's going to save it to the last lap. Oh, look how these 3 are. I wish it was the final battle of the season. Further back, Polymaki and Dirk going to go side by side. Dirk is through into 5th place. Polymaki down to 6th. And Lars Kramer pushing around Polymaki as well. Is that Gavrock right behind Finlay? He was really pushing him essentially through the hotel section as it is now starting to become the final lap. And we're going to have 2 separate battles for position here. And Volokongan is going to try and get his only win of the campaign. And he is the champion as well. So finally, he's going to get the unwanted record of no wins, but still the champion of his name. But it still has to survive this final lap. He's pulling away.
He is. He's opening the gap there. Finlay dropping back. Season 41 champion. Crowned in the absence of Tony Richet. No champion has failed to win a race in their championship winning season. Finlay not particularly close to the back of Volokongan. It's a distant slipstream as they run down the straight into turn 6 and 7 for the last time. Polymaki with a puncture. Wow. Tyres blown up. 19 laps on them. Could have been P5. Now drops down into P9. Little love tap given from Gavroche to Finlay as they go through the chicane for the last time. Blasting through turn 8. Gavroche is running out of opportunities here. The pole sitter went for the alternate strategy. Finlay playing the team game here to absolute perfection. Volokongan with a 3-second penalty, but it's going to be removed. There's an opportunity for Gavroche to slip the Red Bull down the inside through 9, continues through 10 and up to 11 and 12. It's going to have to be the long way around to steal second place. Finlay's going to get his elbows out. Is there the space? Does he get the time of day? Gavroche on the inside.
No.
Jordan with a fast lap. Little bit of argy-bargy. I think Gavroche should get the move done, but out in front of them well. This man, he's been a mainstay of PSGL, PSF1, and finally, the Prince of PSGL will be crowned the king, and he's crowned the king with a victory. Volokongan takes the flag. Volokongan wins the finale in season 41. The champion does become a race winner in his championship winning campaign. Behind them is Finlay and Gavroche slamming into the wall. Goes Otsazito at the line. Polymaki with that puncture on the front right, absolutely crawling round the final couple of corners.
I've counted as a DNF. I don't think that's right. I think he was in 7th.
Otsazito, yeah.
Ignore the timing. I do believe Volokongan's was in error, and I think will be removed. So unless, of course, he doesn't have the footage or doesn't provide the correct information, but I don't know what's going on here. Why everyone's slowing up?
a little bit of bumper cars
Jordan
going on with the
is still finishing because he is well. He could just crash now and he will still get the point because he's completed 90% of the race. But he's going to get 1 point from this race, and still something's better than nothing, I guess. Despite the dismal start he had, is he going to be? Yeah, he's got another warning. He's got to be careful not to get too many. And he's doing a bit of a dance and crossed the line, and that was season 41 of PSGL.
It was indeed. The championship was decided before the race started tonight, but there was the question as to whether Volokongan would pick up that elusive victory. And the star in the silver arrow has shone brightest tonight in the Yas Marina night sky, keeping his composure, keeping it clean, and just keeping enough in hand. And Volokongan, your champion, and goes out with aplomb as well. If you're interested in the awards, Volokongan is the race winner, not Gavroche. Fastest lap for Jordan, driver of the day, Mats van der Geest. Polymaki with the most overtakes, also the driver realistically to be overtaken the most, considering that puncture late on. And Zwade picks up the cleanest driver award. Volokongan's penalty, I'm 99% sure, will be removed, so he should win the race. The race, turning to Jonathan Ross, ahead of Gavroche and Finlay. 4th for Mats van der Geest. Good strategy, good undercut to get himself the track position. Dirk rounds out a 4-5 for RB, With Otsuzito in 7th, that should give Ferrari the consolidation of winning the Constructors' Championship. Lars Kramer ahead of the Aston Martins and Polly Mackie. With Jordan 10th, make that 11th. The retirees, Nico and Leon, neither of them wishing to see the checkered flag. But that is that done then. The season 41, Volokongan was the runner-up last season, and here's the champion this time around. He's been around for so long, but he does finally take the crown for himself.
He does indeed. And that's probably a very fitting way to end season 41 of PSGL. It's a shame it's all over, but as they say, all good things must come to an end. There's not be a few weeks to wait now, because of course season 42 is on the way, the third in the game cycle. And the last before we would believe the DLC. I think it might take a bit longer than thought because, of course, new cars and a new track, hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
But we will see. Yes, we will see if that is the case. The Volokongan is saying, "Yep, remove the penalty." But yeah, I was thinking, oh, surely Volokongan's got to win this race, and he has.
And I'm absolutely delighted for him, I think it's fair to say, because he's a well-worthy champion. He scored points at every race, attended every race as well, which not a lot of people have done. Tony Rocher, I think, has only been here 5 times out of the 11 rounds, maybe 6, I'm not 100% sure, so very, very worthy champion. Was brilliant last season, was just beaten by Oscar over the course of the campaign. Goes one better. The bridesmaid eventually becomes the bride. And Volokongan, we give you a round of applause. Very, very well done. And like you said, Logan, that is that for season 41. The 41st chapter in PSGL PSF1 has now been assigned, and we wait to see what 42 delivers. There might be some big changes to the established order as well. We don't know who's going to be around. I mean, if I were in charge, it would have a bit of a shake-up, to be honest. Attendance has been poor for the last couple of seasons. Drivers that aren't committed, I think you should be not given the benefit of the doubt there with your pace. I think attendance is absolutely key. But Logan, for the final time this season, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you alongside me in the commentary box, on the social media channels. Where can people find you if they want to see what you're up to post this session?
That would be the Otaku Logan YouTube channel, Otaku Logan 2017, the tag. I am on X as well, but I don't like using X that much nowadays, admittedly. But that's how I keep up to date with most of the F1 news, unfortunately. But yeah, we don't have long to wait until the next season. That will be in 3 weeks' time. That will be the 16th of February. We'll start in Spain, then we'll be Austria-Azerbaijan. We also go to Austria, Texas, the Netherlands for what could be the penultimate game, or actually really the last game. Brazil, Singapore, Belgium, Abu Dhabi, and we'll be finishing the season in, oh god, Jeddah.
Oh, that could be interesting, considering
always interesting
the history that myself and Logan have got in Jeddah. But yeah, make sure you check Logan out if you're interested in what I'm doing at wilco.coms or wilco.darts on Instagram and TikTok. And before we go as well, massive shout out to the title sponsors here at PSGL Sim Racing Setups. If you want to get faster at the game, this is where you head. Pro Setups, Pro F1 25 car setups, available, created and tested by the very drivers you see week in, week out here at PSGL. Esports and stable setups, take your fancy. Wet weather, dry weather, quali setups, race bred setups, every single circuit included. Optimal race strategies and free meta setup updates as well thrown in if we do indeed see any tweaks to the handling model. All available for £49.99. £49.99 divided by 27. 27 the number of circuits on the game. That is a pretty darn decent whack of value. Simracingsetup.com, which is linked in the description, and use the code PSGL at checkout for a 5% discount. But thank you so much for joining us, whether it was just for tonight or for the entirety of the season, as Logan parades his Lego Ferrari for one final time this campaign. Volokongan, an incredibly worthy champion, brilliant throughout the season, and does get the monkey off his back and picks up the win in the finale. I'm 99% sure he picks up the win in the finale. But thank you so much for joining us on this journey through season 41, and hopefully 42 will be equally as exciting. And maybe we'll have a 2, 3, 4, 5 cast championship crusade and a scrap to the very end. Who knows? But until then, enjoy the rest of your January, enjoy the start of your February as well, and we'll be back not too long in the future. Thank you ever so much for watching, and we will see you soon.